Welcome to my review of John Carpenter's A Thing to Hub Space 40th anniversary, so let's get started and open it up. We open on a shot of space, and a crash occurs near Research Outpost 31 in Antarctica, giving our first glimpse of the monster in the title as an unassuming dog. Not long after, we are introduced to our main research on the outpost. Her service, senior biologist Blair, played by the late Wolfram Brimley, Dr. Copper, played by Richard Dysart, Chief Mechanic Childs, played by Keith David, Pilot R.J. McCready, played by Kurt Russell, and one of his many collaborators, Harold Carpenter. The way he's introduced pouring his whiskey into the computer after losing a chest is a very effective way of establishing his character. The reason Chopper tries to contain the dog, but the chopper is destroyed and unable to warn the outpost before it's too late. The standouts in the cast include Jennings, played by Peter Maloney, and Clark, played Richard Mousewer. Their comms have also been out for 2 weeks, which will be important later. Their radio man Windows, played by Thomas G. Waits, is not optimistic. Norris, played by Charles Hallahan, is one of those wondering what's happening. Even at this early stage, the atmosphere established in the film was quite effective. Another factor in the score by late Ennio Morricone, while departure from his previous work favoring synthesizer or orchestral music, stands out. And also by T.K. Carter, certainly another standout character, the role of skating listening Stevie Wonder definitely helping a lot. The choice of superstitious is on point. McCready reaches Norwegian outpost, only to find burnt-out remains instead. The grisly remains the researchers also paints a bleak picture as he and Copper try to find clues about what happened. They find a big one. Remains burned and twisted in kerosene. Blair is told to do an autopsy, though he is visibly disturbed by the sight of his body. The transformations from Botten and the camera by Dean Cundy are simply astounding. The first form is the aforementioned dog, played by animal actor Jed. The DP's use of anamorphic format is just masterful as the film continues. The autopsy scene is a stellar way to build tension, and the breakout in the dog pen is just great. Let's take a flamethrower to the dog pen. Before that happened, apparently in the crawl space, Blair was able to determine how the thing could transform and starts asking Clark questions after his autopsy. Security footage recovered also offers a potential clue, and McCready goes to check out the crash site. Finding the crashed ship, I also do think Child's skepticism of all this voodoo bullshit is more amusing given how he later lent his voice to Prince and the Frog. Friends of Their Side is my favorite song from that film too. While Gary, played by Donald Moffat, is skeptical of these findings, Blair seems to verify what McCready is saying. He runs a simulation saying the station has a 75% chance of spread, that the entire world could be infected if the thing reaches the mainland. Another element that adds to horror is the editing by Todd C. Ramsey, with the dread and paranoia built in each passing scene. Bennings ends up being the next claim by the thing, the Windows able to warn McCready and the others, lighting him ablaze with a flare and gasoline, then taking a flamethrower to the remains. I have so much more to tell you about the main hour of this film. Confronting Windows in the lab, and as someone who was first introduced to Brimley through a campy Ewok movie and those Liberty Medical ads he did, this and the same decade's Cocoon are fantastic examples of his acting range. It takes most of the team to talk Blair down and subdue him, save for Clark, who finished what he started in the doll pen. So killing Blair in the tool shed, McCready briefly questions him as they take a blood sample, and is warned to keep watch over Clark. Seeds of Copper start preparing blood tests, and McCready tells Fuchs, played by Joel Polis, to look at Blair's notes. Someone else got to clean blood first, and in the commotion, Windows slips away and grabs a weapon. They will talk him down, and Gary vacates his post as security head. The blood test scene is one of the most memorable parts of the film, and it makes a subtle yet effective parallel for the HIV crisis. Heck, given everything happening over the past couple years, my appreciation for this movie has only grown more for multiple obvious reasons. McCready elects to keep Blair in the tool shed despite his objections, and he finds what's left of Fuchs outside. Knowles tries to blame McCready, but he gets into a supply closet after discovering the light in his shack was on. Norris is discovered to be the next victim, with his transformation being particularly gruesome as he claims Dr. Copper. The Thing tries to get away in spider form, using what's left of Norris's head, but destroyed. Clark is killed, and now it's time for the blood test. After more suspects are secured and Clark's remains stored away, the test reveals that Palmer's a thing, killing windows in an escape attempt. Masquerade burns last remains and numbers up board game, being the only one left intact is a nice touch in the lounge, as is the Asteroids arcade game. Child's test comes up clean, as does Knowles and Gary's the last to pass. I mentioned what I talked about The Shining in a few years back, but this one actually got a Razzie nomination for Worst Original Score. As with other critiques of the time, that kind of reception is unthinkable today. The last step is to blood test Blair, but he's escaped. He tunneled underneath this tool shed, and the denouement is essentially a masterclass in horror filmmaking. Last attempt to kill the monsters destroy the outpost, as it's seemingly consumed in fire, with this parting line from McCready towards the thing. Yeah, fuck you too. McCready and Childs are able to evacuate before the outpost is destroyed, with the remaining researchers dying. The film closes an ambiguous note for survivors. Do they die? Do they get rescued? Is one of them now the thing? The questions it raises are as endless as they are thought-provoking. While the film didn't get a solid reception initially critically or at the box office, it's simply going to be evaluations now among the best films released in not just 1982, but one of the best of all time in its genre. Speaking personally, it's my favorite film of Carpenter's, and its influence on other horror works from film to video games arguably made a definitive version. I don't plan on covering the 1950s or 2011 versions, I just think they're okay. From performances, through the tone, to the groundbreaking practical effects, The Thing has stood the test of time as one of the best sci-fi horror films I've ever seen. My final rating is 4 out of 4. Now I can officially start my multi-part look at the Predator series, but first, I have another video in mind about 2 other horror stories that left a huge impact on me. That'll be all for now. Take care, everyone.